Welcome to The Explainer. So today we are taking on a huge topic. We're going to completely shatter the illusion of someday. You know, that magical time in the future when everything is perfectly aligned. We'll be uncovering the hidden, actual neurological traps that keep us stuck in this endless cycle of procrastination and passive waiting. If you have ever felt like your life is just kind of on hold, or you catch yourself constantly pushing your biggest goals to tomorrow, this is going to be incredibly eye-opening for you.
Let me just ask you this straight up. What major life change are you currently postponing? Are you waiting for the stars to perfectly align before you start that business, or change careers, or maybe leave a toxic relationship, or just commit to a new habit? Look, we all have that one monumental thing we're putting off, entirely convinced that we just need to wait for the exact perfect time to start.
And let's be totally honest with ourselves. We've all used the exact same universal excuses to validate our delay. Oh, I'll start fresh on Monday, or I'll just make it my New Year's resolution. We wait for the right mood to strike, or for total clarity on literally every single step before we take the first one, or sometimes we're even just waiting for someone else to give us permission. And these excuses, well, they feel incredibly safe, don't they? We trick ourselves into thinking we're being responsible by waiting for the right moment. But the reality? They are psychological traps keeping you stuck exactly where you are right now. They basically just mask our fear as logic.
All right, section 1, the neuroscience of waiting, why we delay. Okay, let's actually dive into the brain science behind why we chronically delay our own lives. Because spoiler alert, it's not a character flaw, it's neuroscience. There is this absolutely fascinating phenomenon in behavioral economics called temporal discounting. Neural imaging studies have revealed something wild here. When you sit and think about your future self, your brain activates the exact same neural regions as it does when you think about a complete stranger. So when you push a difficult task off to tomorrow, your brain literally feels like it's assigning that hard work to someone else entirely. It makes it way too easy to dump our difficult tasks on them. Let future me handle it. That guy's a stranger anyway. That specific neural mechanism completely underpins the empty promise of someday. Now, check out this staggering number from a Columbia University study. It shows that we waste 70% of our decision-making energy just trying to establish perfect conditions before starting. Just imagine that for a second. 70% of your cognitive energy is completely drained simply by waiting for the right moment, instead of using that exact same fuel to actually take action with the resources you already have in front of you. Moving on to section 2, locus of control, who is in charge? To really answer who's in charge, we need to look back to Julian B. Rotter's 1954 psychological theory. He outlines two very different mindsets at play. Having an internal locus of control means you firmly believe that your own actions, your effort, and your deliberate choices are what dictate your outcomes. You have personal agency. On the flip side, an external locus of control is a much more fatalistic mindset. It's this belief that luck, fate, timing, or the decisions of other people dictate your life. Now, if you lean heavily on this external view, your motivation is going to plummet. Why even try if you think your effort doesn't actually matter? It's a mindset that just sits around and waits for someone else to come to the rescue. In this external reliance, it often stems from what Martin Seligman famously called learned helplessness. Think about it. Modern life is absolutely full of institutional filters, admissions committees, HR departments, algorithms. And while they do organize society, they also accidentally train us to stand down and wait to be picked. So we internalize this passivity. We start projecting imaginary gatekeepers in front of our own goals. We postpone these huge, life-defining moments, waiting for a permission slip or some credential that, in reality, we just need to grant to ourselves. Which brings us to section 3, the perfectionism trap, fear disguised as logic. It is so crucial to understand how our brains construct this highly sophisticated wait state just to avoid the discomfort of failure. We really need to radically redefine perfectionism here. It is definitely not an aspiration toward excellence. Behavioral research actually shows it is an avoidant psychological armor. It's a fear-based survival mechanism, totally driven by our amygdala to ward off the fear of judgment, failure, and vulnerability. By setting impossible, highly idealized standards, we ensure that the right time, or the perfect plan, literally never arrives. And that keeps us safely paralyzed and completely free from the risk of failing.
You have to contrast real preparation with what researchers like Cal Newport and Brené Brown call fake preparation. Real prep has a clear, defined endpoint. Fake prep, well, that's just an infinite loop of reading, planning, and over-researching. We totally forget that done exists in objective reality, while perfect only exists in our own anxiety. Please don't let procrastination disguise itself as preparation.
Let's get practical with Section 4, the Action Toolkit, Strategies for Change. Okay, let's build an evidence-based tactical toolkit. These are actual strategies you can use right now to reclaim your personal agency and bypass all that brain resistance we just talked about. First up is Mel Robbins' incredibly effective 5-second rule. When you notice yourself hesitating on a task you know you need to do, you just count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then you physically move. I know, it sounds almost too simple to work, but it acts as a literal neurological pattern interrupt. Your brain takes about 5 seconds to generate an excuse to stop you. By counting down and moving on 1, you literally force your brain to initiate action before the fear and the excuses can catch up to you.
Next up, we have Jonathan Kragel's rapid-fire tactics designed to dismantle the daily friction of starting. Because let's face it, the hardest part is always the beginning, right? So try the 2-minute drill. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, don't write it down, don't plan it, just do it immediately. Next is the tomato clock. Use it to work in structured, uninterrupted 25-minute focus blocks. And finally, if a goal just feels way too overwhelming, use the splitting atom method. Basically, you break it down into the absolute tiniest, most frictionless components possible. Remember, just starting creates instant momentum.
But taking action isn't just about managing your time, is it? It's also about managing your energy around other people. So another vital tool here is Mel Robbins' Let Them theory. This really addresses the paradox of control. Trying to micromanage unpredictable circumstances or stressing over other people's reactions severely drains your precious cognitive energy. So consciously release it. Let them have their opinions. Let them make their own choices. Releasing that toxic over-control completely frees you up to execute your own plans and focus on what you actually can control, your own mindset and your own actions.
Finally, Section 5, Existential Wake Up. Time is running out.
To truly shatter the illusion of someday, we have to confront the ultimate catalyst for action, the reality of our own timeline. Guys, time is a non-renewable resource. Once it's gone, it is gone. You can't buy more of it. We often tell ourselves these recovery fairy tales, believing we need to hit some dramatic, cinematic rock bottom or face a massive crisis before we'll finally find the motivation to change. That is a dangerous storytelling myth. The truth? Waiting for a crisis just allows a small, manageable problem to grow into a massive one. Wasting hours regretting the past or waiting for perfect confidence to magically arrive in the future, it simply steals the only thing you actually have any control over, your present. So I want to leave you with this pretty provocative, lingering thought. How would you live if you knew this was your last year? Asking yourself that strips away all the superficial distractions, the social comparisons, and those imaginary gatekeepers we talked about earlier. It exposes what really matters. Stop waiting for the perfect mood or total clarity or for external permission to change. The present moment is literally the youngest you will ever be. Stop waiting and start actively building the life you want today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.